tendency to do a little bit of a. You can see it in his gameplay. Like he does a little goofy things sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do too. I do too.
yeah, that's fire. Okay, let me just open stream real quick. Okay, so when it comes to yeah, I still have my keybinds. Awesome. All right. Um,
1 second. Let me just, because I'm recording it. Let me just
all right, take your time.
change it to Discord. Got it.
Okay. So before we like talk about the VOD itself, I just want to ask you a few questions because a lot of the commentary in this review isn't going to be necessarily about your like micro gameplay itself, right? It's going to be a lot
Yeah.
of macro discussion regarding the comps, how to approach certain comps, how to benefit your own, and how that can tie into being an in-game leader, how to be a little bit more vocal with how you want to play things. So I wanted to ask you just so that I don't like go too deep into certain areas that you may be already familiar with. So, if possible, could you tell me some things that you're like anything that you think is a weakness or a strength, or just what you know about being an IGL or being in a scrim environment like this? Because Stormy tells me you're pretty new.
Yeah. Wait. Can you repeat the question?
Uh, what do you know about being an IGL? What is your general thought process when playing in a scrim like this? Yeah, so like just tell me what you know.
So I know like it's supposed to be kind of like a conversation in the game. Uh, I'm supposed to have my usually the main support tell me the like ult tracking, and then from that I'm supposed to make a plan to how we're gonna approach that fight, how we're gonna play slow, if we're gonna engage fast, what
Mhm.
ults we're gonna use, how we're gonna use them.
Mhm. Okay, that is fantastic. Okay, that's a great start when it comes to being an IGL. The one thing that I want to add on top of this is I want you to consider how they're playing and what they are playing, like along with what else they may have, right? Because ult tracking is a big
Yeah.
part of it. But for example, let's say they're playing let's say they're playing Lucio, right? And you're like, oh, let's rush their supports before they get beat. If they have Kiri, Lucio, it doesn't matter because Kiri's just gonna fade away and Lucio's just like kind of unkillable. He's gonna get beat anyway. Get what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a combination of consideration of your base plan going into the round initially, and then you apply to it what your main support has told you when it comes to what else they have and what to expect, right? Okay, so on to the replay. Also, I want to add, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me and we can I'll answer
Okay.
any questions.
Let
So
me just say this because I thought of this before. I feel
yeah.
like I struggle with like I'm not very good at being like both a natural leader and
Mhm.
like being creative, like thinking of a plan like out of the blue. I know it's like based on the factors that you talked about, but
Mhm.
like actually making up the plan, I struggle with that. I feel like I'm better at, like if I have like kind of like a formula to make
Mhm.
up the plan, I would do much better, but it's kind of hard to make it like all by myself. That's
Okay,
something I struggle with.
and that's something we're gonna cover hopefully. Um, so to begin with, I have two questions that I'm gonna ask. The first one is a little bit simpler. The second one's a little bit more complex. First one: why are we playing Orisa on City Center? There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just asking you, like, what's your rationale behind picking Orisa here?
Uh, honest, I mean, it was the first time we were playing together. Like
Mhm.
that team, it was a trial.
Okay.
Uh, Orisa is kind of it's one of my comfort picks right now. I
Mhm.
struggle a bit with dive and stuff,
Mhm.
and it was just what we came up with pretty much, like on the fly.
On the fly. Yeah. Okay. What advantages or like what are your strengths as Orisa? Just in general. Like if you're playing an Orisa comp, what are your strengths, would you say?
I think I can hold a position really, really well. I can
Excellent, yeah.
I can make it really hard for them to push into us,
Hmm.
especially consider that they have more mobility than us.
Hmm. All right, awesome. That's a good start. Okay, now here's the second question. It's going to be a little bit more complex. Okay, I want you to pretend that you're this Winston.
Yeah.
Where do you want to play, considering what you're playing, what your teammates are playing, and what the enemy team is playing? How are you going to maximize your team's value overall? Which area would you want to cover most?
Mostly the high ground, but maybe even the high ground in the point. I don't know, to make it
How
easier
come?
to make it easier to see an opportunity to dive.
Exactly. Right? Being in open space is going to be very helpful for heroes like Tracer, right? Just because it gives her options to flank, and for Echo, obviously, because she's a flying character, you're gonna want to position in areas that your Echo is able to poke from afar, and also to possibly scout a potential dive, right? So based on how they should play or how their strengths are built, where do you want to position?
We want a position on the left where we're more covered and we can then push to the point more easily with more cover.
Exactly. Exactly, right? Um, by the way, the reason I'm asking these questions is just because I want to incept the habit, and I think this is the best way to get into the flow of like making plans on the fly. Ask yourself the question, why? Why am I playing this hero? Why are we playing the heroes that we have? Why are they playing these heroes, and how can we beat them, right? Or how can we maximize our advantages, right? So obviously, we're just gonna play left door, right? Simply put, this just narrows their options. They either have to commit to one side, uh, commit to like either commit on one side, commit right on top of you, play poke from range, which isn't ideal considering they're playing Winston, or they have to split push, which Orisa is really good for, right? We said that Orisa is really good at holding positions by herself. So while you're, let's say, if they're split pushing, you got Tracer Echo here, and then you have Winston, Kitty, Lucio on this side. Let's say you could like hold this for about 10, 15 seconds if you cycle your cooldowns well, and then the rest of your team can deal with the flankers on the other side. It's really, really hard for them to split push given your comp, right? So this is just one of the examples of using your strengths in a way that that if that maximizes your advantage over the enemy comp, right? Okay, I'm just gonna let this run. Okay, so now we have a couple of options. Um, we either can play defensive or we can play on the front foot, right? Playing defensive, as we said, is just staying inside here and covering all angles and then ready to go in, or finding an opening to go in, right? Or the second approach that I think is like it's an option you have is a split push, right? I really like the angle you're taking here on this Kiriko. You even get a really good spear on her, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself right now, if your team was ready and you walk in, then maybe you get a kill or two, maybe you wipe out the whole team, right? So how do we do this in an efficient way? That's another part of being an IGL. Remember, first thing we said was communicating our plans, right? I
Yeah.
I want to play inside just so that they can't dive us, right? Another thing is like communicating your thought process. Remember, as you said, it's a conversation, right?
Yeah.
You're telling your teammates what you see. I see, okay, guys, I'm going on right. Um, Kitty speared, Kitty low. I want to go in. Can we go? Three, two, one, go. Right? It's
Yeah.
it's try and get yourself into the habit of just speaking, talking through your thought process, saying what vulnerabilities you see and how we want to go. The only complication, and believe me, Stormy is a big witness to this, is when it comes to executing plans, you need a little bit of a buffer period. Three, two, one. Just so you get everybody on board and just so that we're all on the same page and we're all ready to go. We'll see in a second how that doesn't or what happens if we don't time it together, right? I like this defensive setup. Winston really low. I like the pressure you're putting on this Winston. It's really good, right? After they disengage, we just go back to our natural position. That's just how it is, right? Fantastic. Now here, I want you to spot the issue I have, right?
Yeah.
Now we're kind of proceeding with the idea of split pushing, right?
Yeah,
And
I should
this
have
would
gone
have been
back.
good. It's not a matter of you should have gone back. I think you this could have worked, but your team is already backing up, right? So
Yeah.
what can we do to fix this? Honestly, had we just said, okay, guys, I'm gonna go flank them, can we push through left? We just split push, right? Ask your team if they can go. When they go, go, right?
Yeah.
Right about yeah.
Honestly, I didn't even think about the possibility of split pushing.
hmm It's just there are many ways you can approach a fight, and communicating it to your team beforehand is just like it's the way to go, right?
Yeah.
Like Tracer's low, they're all super low. They're all disgustingly low. I think if we had announced this and committed to it as a team, maybe we would have gotten like we would have won the fight. But unfortunately, we all die, or you die
Yeah.
first, and then it's just a byproduct of your team falling after. So again, um, once you see an opportunity to do something, announce it. If you're gonna flank, announce it, just so that your team knows where you're going and just so that they can respond. Most cases, you're gonna also have to say, "Okay, guys, I'm going right. You guys push left," instead of just "I'm going right. Good luck." You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a trial and error thing. Let me just kind of retake points. Now we're setting up in the position that favors us. This is just fantastic. We're keeping everyone in front of us. This is good. Now I want to ask you right now, what do we do if someone is behind us? If someone is
Uh,
punishable behind us?
I mean, I think it depends if we either push the rest of the team that has less 1 or 2, or
hmm
we all just want to through that person.
Exactly. Right? It depends. So when you assess someone or when you think someone is a little bit punishable, like this Winston here, right? You're just soft poking him. You're not really hard committing. You get a spear on him. You think he's killable. You stop his jump with your javelin, X or your spin, X that uses spin, and you kill him.
Yeah, here I'm just shouting Winston, 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 because he used his jump. He couldn't
Yeah.
escape.
This is good, right? That's just another thing to consider. It's the counter matchup. You can get in his face spin and he can't jump. So also yeah. Part of communicating is shouting a person's name over and over and over again. Top of your lungs. I'm talking like yelling that shit.
There I remember I was.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. Now on to the next fight. Okay. Um. So this is an like let's do a bit of an exercise here. Considering like for planning, I mean. So considering the alts we have, how can we set up for them? Give me an alt and let's talk about how we can set up or how we can utilize them this fight.
Well, we have Rush and Beat. Uh,
hmm
I think we all tried, and I think and we knew what else they had.
hmm
So, or at least we knew they had copy. Yeah, I think we knew they had both copy and beat.
Okay.
So I think we were
Just a
looking.
little observation though. Even if you guys knew, I just want to say I was watching Skirt that fight because I was specking. He did not speak once, so he did not call anything. If you
Okay.
guys knew, that's just skill, like your skill.
You guys are
not
just goaded.
his.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, but I think I'm pretty sure we had an idea of what else they had,
hmm
but we could just engage with which could just speed with a Kitsune and take an aggressive play, but they would probably just speed it. We
hmm
we could try to bait it to get their beat out and disengage with speed.
Okay.
For
That's a yeah.
no, I was
That's good.
just gonna say we have beat for copy if needed.
Mhm. Given this setup, I personally would have said, okay, we can kitsune this fight. If they use copy, we can beat, right? Or we can respond with beat. Now there is also a small there's something that you do here, and I don't know if this is intentional, but if it is, awesome, right? Another thing that we can consider when discussing plans is considering enemy abilities, right? This is super common with heroes like Ana, maybe like Sig, if that's even applicable, right? Let's say you're gonna use your Genji and you want to use Blade, right?
Yeah.
What's the number one ability that you don't want them to use, or you don't want them to have when ulting? I'm
Like
talking cooldown, not
like
ults.
Suzu or something.
Suzu, sleep, that type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Poke Ana, force sleep, and then I want to go in with Blade. That's a thought process for a Genji player here, right? I like that you brought up Suzu. So one of the things that we could be saying here is poke Kiri, like force Suzu, and then we can Kitsune onto her,
Yeah.
right?
I do that especially if I'm playing Queen, which is like probably my best hero aside from Hog that we don't play in screens.
Mhm.
That's something that I do on especially on Queen. I like
Yeah,
when I know I want to ult, I tell like we want to poke, try to get Suzu out or beat out. We can like use like Sojolt first, try to get beat out, and then I ult. I do that. I feel like I do better on Queen in those type of things.
that's fantastic. Um, Try and translate those skills into other heroes because a lot of these because it isn't like a gameplay thing that you do not necessarily have to translate to other heroes. Like you're not gonna worry too much about your tempo on Queen translating to Orisa, right? But I'm just talking in terms of communication, right? Get that into your line of habits where you're like, okay, I think this ability, this hero, or this ultimate is a threat to me. Ultimates, I don't like to consider too much. I don't like the concept of forcing ults, then going. I think it's just a little too risky because maybe that backfires. They just don't ult. Maybe the ult kills you. Maybe the ult does something. You get what I mean? I think
Yeah,
forcing
yeah,
ults is a little risky. So I think it's safer to rely on forcing abilities instead because those are a little bit less expensive. Therefore, the people are more likely to use them. So get that into your line of habits. Be like, hey, they have Suzu. That's a threat to our engagement. Can we force it? Can we harass Kiriko? Force a Suzu, force TP. Maybe they use both. Who knows, right? So this is what I was talking about here. So just for clarification on what this whole thing I was trying to get to is, I want you to go here and say, okay, guys, this fight we can Kitsune. Try and force like target Kiriko. Try and force Suzu, and then we can go in with Kitsune, right? If they use copy, if they use something, then we can beat in response, right? Simple 2-3 sentences, done. Right here, I think. Oh, it's a little bit further. You spam the shit out of Kiriko, you force Suzu,
yeah.
right? This should be your trigger. Be like, okay, Kitsune on that Kiriko now. And that's what you do. Or you don't go on the Kiriko, you go on the Winston, but still, right? The sentiment is still there.
Yeah.
This is an excellent combination.
I didn't call that.
Snipes are just goated. That's just who
Yeah.
he is. But yeah. These are just like kind of examples of what you could be saying in certain situations. Nice kill on the Tracer.
Just trying
If
to
I were
suck
you,
his
I'd
jump.
ignore this Winston. Yeah, if I were you, I'd ignore this Winston.
Yeah. Might have tunnel visioned a bit on him.
Yeah, it's fine because he almost dies anyway. There you go. And you got a good ult here. Okay. And then the fight just like
I thought I was dead there.
decelerates from
Snipe
here.
saved me.
It's yeah, I thought you were dead too. I'm gonna be honest. I looked at my phone.
I
I was
even said I'm dead.
yeah. Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, just small micro here. I think like once everyone TP's out, you just slam, which you did. But
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Um, right now I just want you to comment and be like, yo, I'm gonna take cover. I'm gonna play slow. And then I assume you're just calling targets as you see them.
Yeah, kind of.
And
Well,
target, yeah, target, yeah. Go ahead.
I try to go for the Tracer there, like, to predict when she's gonna pick.
Target priority is a whole different conversation. But for now, just you need to get into the habit of just calling a target. And then, well, your team responding to those calls, that's a whole different thing as well. That's something that takes time and teamwork, team building. Then y'all just clean up from here. Focusing Kiriko first, that's a good pick. I would be going on Lucio here, but I'm just gonna speed this up because it's just there's nothing to discuss here. It's just kind of scrap watch in action. We're just scrapping back and forth, trying to get kills. Okay, there we go. There's first round. So just to recap from that round, because it's going to be important in the coming rounds, we want to consider what they're playing and, if possible, use that in deciding how we want to play, right? Like in last round, if they're playing Echo and Tracer, they're playing Dive, we want to play close range. We want to play indoors just so that they can't find good openings on us and can't flank us or can't jump us as well as they want to. When it comes to calling things, use this rationale. Use a combination of the targets that we want to focus on, the abilities they may have, and what ults they may have, right? That example on I think it was third fight where we were like, okay, this fight we can Kitsune, you force Suzu, use Kitsune, and then beat if they use copy. Simply there, right? Focus Kiriko first, force Suzu, and once they use it, then quickly Kitsune, right? That's just the process of or the order of communication that generally you want to follow in. If I'm speaking too fast, by the way,
No.
or I'm not making sense, please do let me know. I have this habit of just rambling for no reason. Okay. I was honestly really surprised that they're going Sim here. I honestly expected them to switch back to Soj, but no, they are sticking Symmetra. Okay, so remember what we said? We said that Orisa, we want to play indoors, we want to play close range, because close range we win pretty much, right? Most of the time we win because
Yeah.
we can just we can hold chokes, we can prevent them from progressing even further, and also Javelin go burn, right? So this is obviously where we want to be initially, but then we discover that they have a Symmetra, right?
Yeah, I was struggling a lot with the Symmetra.
Yeah. Obviously, the Symmetra is swapping just for you, right? Just for you. It doesn't make sense to go sim against Soj. It doesn't really make that much sense to go sim against Tracer. That's obviously against you just because you can't block her beam, right? So right now, I would like to think that you have no agency in this comp, because what is Orisa's strength that we said? We said it was holding a front line, holding a position for a really long time. You're not going to be able to do that as well if there's a beam that is being spammed into you that you can't block very well, right? More often than not, you're just gonna have to disengage, right? So
Yeah.
instead of looking how to get yourself value here, because honestly, like the main hero's the hero's main source of value is just not gonna happen in this matchup. So what I want you to consider is how can we get the best of your teammates, right? How do we position in places that your teammates are going to be able to do things, right? Because they're going to be the people doing things for you, because you're not going to be able to do anything here. So what do you think?
I think in retrospect, we should have gone on the high ground, and I should just be there to make sure that they couldn't push there.
Mhm.
And we just had a Soj on the high ground, Tracer on the flank.
Awesome.
And
Why the
just
high ground?
because it makes so Sojourn has better set lines. They can't really reach her with me on the high ground as well. I can just push them away. I can just pressure them out,
Mhm.
and Soj can just farm pretty much the whole round.
Exactly, right? Sim doesn't have very good verticality, and she's not going to beam you from low ground.
Yeah,
right?
I think I tunnel vision a lot on the idea of playing in like closed spaces and pushing that side.
Have you ever heard the saying "when in doubt, sound it out"?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing for spelling, but it can apply to Overwatch. Like if you're struggling with something, just like talk to yourself. Like, why am I struggling here? Oh, there's a sim there. How can I avoid the sim? I can go high ground. You get what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
little bit more stretched than that, and a little bit more difficult. Or it's easier said than done, especially in the middle of a game. But try and slow yourself down sometimes when things are getting a little too hot, and then you'll over time gradually develop the skills to just do this. What's the word I'm looking for here? Like subconsciously, pretty much, right? Without effort. And then, like, I'm gonna be honest here. There's not really much like. There's not really much that happens this round. It's kind of just a rinse and repeat of like really, really weird fights, scrappy fights. Yeah. Like we're just kind of trying to live here, and then I think when you try and go in, your Tracer and your Lucio are just off in no man's land, dueling the Tracer on the other side. So yeah,
Here I was getting mad that the TP wouldn't die.
yeah.
Stay buff the TP HP.
Dude, fucking overheat is so annoying.
400 HP TP.
Is it 400?
Yeah, they buffed
That
it
is
from
insane.
300 to 400.
That is insane. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
trying to
kind of alone.
engage. It's not that you're alone. I think your teammates are with you. Wait, your Sojourn's like somewhere here, I think. Where is she? The fuck is your Sojourn? Oh, she's here. Yeah, she's with you. But then she ends.
Yeah, it was more like it was hard for me to back off without the Lucio.
Yeah.
But
I think it's just hard for you to be in a yeah.
Yeah, but I probably shouldn't be there in the first place.
Yeah. Being in that position is kind of just hard in and of itself. It's hard for you to do anything. I think just being in these positions up here, maybe you get your Sojourn overclock, maybe you win the fight a little sooner, you feel. So yeah. Then I think you just die. Yeah, you just die. You get melted. That's unfortunate. Right now, we should be calling approaches as to what we want to use this fight. For example, we want to use Kitsune. Do we want to use a result? Do we want to use overclock? What's the game plan here? Right?
Yeah, I don't think we did at all. At least there.
And that's yeah.
I think I was just kind of lost from tunnel visioning on the idea of going there, and I just wasn't. I was just like I don't know how to say it. Just like doing the same thing over and over again, and I was just not thinking straight about it.
I hear you. Let me give you a tip, and this kind of helps me sometimes. I don't think I've used it much, like in a long time. But when I am like tunnel visioning and I don't have the clarity to rethink it, I ask my teammates, "What help do you need?" Like I ask my Sojourn, "Okay, what do you like? Do you want to put like a bodyguard for your overclock, right?" And then like your Sojourn is going to position wherever she wants for her overclock. You just stick with it. You get what I mean? You give
Yeah.
your Sojourn the freedom to ult. You follow her. You right. I think that's the only example here because I don't think it's really ideal for Snipes to pick out his Kitsune lane. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and you're not gonna ask a Lucio or Tracer how they want to ult unless you combo with Tracer. Like you just like javelin in or you spin in, pull them in, and then your Tracer ults. Right? That's a whole different thing. So I to get myself out of this like bubble, I like to try and ask my teammates first like for stuff if they want help, if they want like if they have any ideas. This gets anything is fine.
Yeah, they just beat it.
Yeah. Right now, what could we be saying to our team if they beat like this? What do you want to do, and how do you tell that to your team?
But if we sorry if we what?
If they beat here like they did, what do you want to do, and how do you tell that to your team?
I mean we can match beat. We
Okay.
I mean the monkey is gonna primal like after the beat. Should probably just
Mm-hmm.
look at another target.
Okay.
I think I ult here when after the beat.
Yeah, you ult shortly after this, but like the idea is there, right? Whatever you want to do, just make sure that you're communicating that to your team. I know it's a little bit of a forehead, oh, this is kind of obvious moment, but it's just it's I think like it's a really simple thing that you're just gonna have to kind of force yourself to habituate. Is that the word? Habitize, something like that. Like make it a habit, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So, as you said, right? Like don't focus monkey. They have primal. Focus someone else. Um, you could just say, okay, I like they have beat. I want to back off and re-go out, like go again after beat, right? Which is what you mentioned doing,
Yeah.
and then you go back in, right? You ultimate Kirko
Yeah.
almost dies.
I wanted to get the Lucio.
Yeah.
I wanted to get the Lucio in, but he got out of the range last second. And here, like they got 2 picks.
Then they end up winning. I forgot that you guys didn't really retake. Okay. And then you guys lose. All right. I think the main takeaway from that round is just try and diversify your approach. If you feel like something isn't working, if you can't really think of a reason why, just try something different, right? Maybe it
Yeah.
works out. Maybe it becomes clear as to why the other thing works out, right? I know we didn't say that, but I'm just telling you now. Okay. Going into this map, I forgot how long the downtime between maps are on scrims. Okay. It appears that we're going left. Why are we going left?
I just heard that it's faster to go to the high ground through that TP to the
Oh yeah.
stairs.
Okay, no, it is, but like, why are we going high ground in the first place?
Because it's better for our Soj. Like I can just make sure that they don't get to the high ground because the monkey he has to jump to the high ground and I can just push him away.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives our Soj more freedom.
Exactly, right? Because you're so much more freedom, you're able to live longer. So many different benefits, right?
Yeah.
So it's important that we stick to that plan, as we'll see here.
Sorry, I was
And come
asking me
through.
what was up with my TPs.
Lucy's gonna obviously try to boop you up. That's what Lucy does.
Yeah.
He's low,
Here
but
I jump for him.
I don't think it was low.
Uh,
He was low enough to drop.
yeah, I immediately regretted it.
Yeah, this is probably the one like micro mistake that I will comment on for this entire review. It's just like you're in a perfect position. They gave up high ground. You have all the freedom in the world,
Yeah.
and you just gave it up, right? So, yeah. Anyway, and obviously you die.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
but
think
you're
even in the
yeah,
moment that I said like, oh no, I jumped down.
yeah, it happens, right? Sometimes I always have a hard time staying on high grounds. I don't know what it is. Like I have like fucking butter feet to just slip off. Anyway, so I know that like part of IGL that we've been discussing is talking about what else they have, um like what else they have, what we want to do, and how we want to approach it, right? Part of it that we haven't talked about yet is enforcing your team to follow a certain plan or follow a certain, let's say, structure, right? We established that we want to play high ground, right? What could we be telling our team right now while we're walking back from spawn?
Uh,
Just take high ground, right? Because
yeah,
right now,
they're playing on low ground,
mhm,
and we already took the point. Yeah, should
yeah,
just go back to high ground. Yeah, they TP to the high ground, and we're not there, so we can't take. Like I'm not there, so I can push them away.
we're all just kind of split anyway. And then this happens, your Sojin dies, and then you try to get Kiriko, but again, Kiriko, she doesn't die.
Yeah,
And
she just
then you get
TPs.
melted by Sim. You get melted by Sim.
I'm just running away from the beam.
Yeah,
She's 1 HP, and she doesn't die, and then that made
tragic.
me
Yeah,
mad.
yeah. That's a little unfortunate. Okay. So now we established that we want to play high ground, right? Mainly, it gives our surgeon freedom, better sightlines, and also Sim can't really reach us, right?
Yeah.
Does that mean that when we push in, do we have to take high ground?
Not necessarily.
Where else can we push?
I think I don't remember if we communicated that.
Mhm.
Pretty sure we didn't actually. But I was thinking of either just running it down mid on main or
Mhm.
going around through the right.
Okay. I'm not a fan of going through the right just because it's a little too long. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, but yeah, running it like I wouldn't say run it down main, just stay main,
Yeah.
right? We're far away from them. They can't really get close to us. We have disgustingly better range than they do, right? So then you just get an amazing snipe on the sim and you win the fight anyway, right?
Yeah, usually when we push mid, I just do that. So
Yeah.
if it does hit, it just wins the fight pretty much.
Yeah.
Managed to push the monkey off the high ground where he wanted to jump.
Okay.
Yeah, here they just had to
This is
support.
just yeah, this is just so unlucky. This isn't really like anything you could have done. This is kind of unlucky how things turned out.
Yeah, the pulse surge, and I also got hit by the pulse, and I was really low. It just gets both of us.
And Lucio just doesn't die. God knows how. It just happens. So yeah. And it looks like you guys were going to high ground after that, so
Yeah,
no criticism there. Are you fully five? We are. Oh no, we're ready for Tracer. That's fine. Okay. I want to actually go back in. Another like one thing you could be telling your team when you don't really have a plan in mind or you don't really know how you want to approach it or how you want to attack
yeah,
is just let's go to our favorite position. Let's just poke them out until we think of something or until we see an opening, right? Sometimes communicating that is like it's better than nothing just because it gives people the impression that like we at least know that we don't know what we want to do and like we need time to figure it out. So it just kind of gets them to focus on things that they could be doing instead. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So instead of just like walking around and being like, okay, what do we do now? What are we waiting for? You know, it
yeah,
disarms everyone, keeps them chill, and so on and so forth, right?
yeah,
So just get into the habit of just talking through what you're going on in your head. If you have an idea, say it. If you don't have an idea, say, okay, let's just go here. Let's just figure things out. Like let's wait until someone figures something out. Right? That's totally okay. That's totally fine. Just so long as your team is aware, just so long as you're aware as what's happening, that is miles better than just autopiloting and then getting lucky. Right?
yeah. I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Here we called out that
Go
Tano,
on the sports.
yeah,
Yeah.
was low, and they were kind of split, so we just pushed them.
Mm.
I
And
was
if this
pushing,
was intentional, this is awesome.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was pushing the Lucio away to isolate Tano.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good ult on the sim. I don't know if this is a team thing or I don't know if you're not calling it, but I don't think like your guys should be on point. I think you all should be looking at the sim and Winston here. Lucio lives. I think Winston does too, right? He
I
primals.
think so.
Yeah, this is kind of tragic. 2020 hindsight here. I think we should just like not be shooting this Winston.
Yeah, should
But
probably
like,
just back
yeah,
off the
again,
point.
I probably would have done the same. So yeah, Tracer's here. We spend too long in this mini room. I think no, Stormy does. Now your spots are done. Okay. What's something that you could be calling right now if like fights just guaranteed loss and they're about to flip point? What's something you could call?
Uh, that they don't have primal, they don't have beat. We could just reset and push. We have rush, we have sojolt. Like we can. They're gonna have Waldo, so should
Oh wait, hold
maybe.
on.
Hmm?
I apologize. Okay. Um, I don't mean to cut you off, but for alt stuff, I prefer to be in between fights, downtime as I call it, right?
Yeah.
Right now, the fight is still happening, but it's basically Northern Orbit, right? What I like to call is stall for a certain percent, stall for 75, stall for 80%, right? Get what I mean?
Yeah. I honestly,
Yeah.
I just wouldn't know. Um, like, how do I know to what percent we should stall to?
Whatever feels like reasonable. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like considering that both your supports are dead, you're not gonna stall for that long. Considering that you're Orisa against Sim, you're not gonna stall for that long. Considering that your DPS are pretty squishy too, you're not gonna stall. You get what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you get like I think just as a rough estimate, 5-10% is always safe if you have like 3 people alive. Maybe 15 if you're lucky, but if you space it out well enough, you can get 15, right? Um, there's always something you could be communicating. If it's not, okay, let's do this now. Let's do this. Or like, if you can disengage, disengage. If you can't, stall for this number, right? Okay. And I
Yeah.
probably should have done this before the replay. I probably apologize. I probably should have done this before we started talking about the bot. I should have talked about what what things to consider instead of just going along and adding shit to the list. You get what I mean? So I'm gonna
No, that's fine.
recap it at the end, and I apologize for that.
Okay. No, that's fine.
Okay. So we just died, right? Would have been a little bit more favorable if we died on point, but again, just happens. Mhm. So right now it's just the same thing. How can we get into a position where, like, actually, let me ask you this because I had an idea in my head and you guys ended up doing something completely different and it worked and it was good. But, like, given the general approach that we agreed upon, like going main because it's good for Sojourn, right? How can we combine that with using, let's say, the only ultimate we have, Kitsune?
We can. I was thinking we could Kitsune Rush, and instead of going high ground, going with extra speed, and so we could just rush the supports and
Hmm.
have Soj either like jump to the high ground, because I'm guessing the monkey is either gonna jump down to our backline or jump to his supports to help. Maybe Soj
Hmm.
could jump to the high ground herself, and we could get an early pick on the supports. But yeah, I don't know.
One approach you could have done is you could have gone main again. Could have contested point, poke them from afar, force them to use or force them to drop, and then when they drop a kitsune and burst whoever's on the ground. Right? That's something that's something you could have done. But what you do here
Yeah,
is completely like it was good too, right?
yeah.
If anything,
Unfortunately, that javelin hit the air next to the wall.
yeah.
Kinda.
Ah, yeah, just the edge of the wall. It's a good use of rush,
Yeah, I wanted
and
to
I
go
don't.
for that, but they rushed our backline,
Mm,
and then they just have a nano sim.
yeah.
I don't know if it could have been avoided if we were just faster, like pushing in, or
What could have been avoided?
them getting to our backline and just getting picks on our backline.
Let's take a look.
I don't know if we just kept pressing W, if it was
Yeah.
possible to get that Ana. Because like
Uh,
yeah, our Soj is kind of split
yeah.
on the back. I tried to 1v1 the Tracer. I think yeah, she dies.
Yeah, yeah. You guys won this fight. Do some superhuman shit from you and Stormy. But yeah, they were gonna reach your backline anyway. I think it was so. Wait, you guys don't win. I lied.
Yeah, we don't.
I thought you guys did. My fault.
I was about to say,
My
like,
fault.
when did we
There's
clutch
only
that?
so much I can do. There's only so much I can do.
I don't know why I remembered you guys clutching this. My fault.
I mean,
Anyway,
it's a nano sim, and it's only us
yeah.
two.
Yeah.
I did get the
Anyway.
sim, but it was 200
Yeah.
HP.
Alright, seriously, it just gets you. Yeah. Okay. Um, I think the approach here still was good, regardless of the outcome. Maybe I think instead of like asking if we were a little bit quicker, I think maybe if your team was just all together, I think if your Soldier's with you guys, I don't think you guys would have died so soon. I don't think Tracer would have had the agency to flank on you that way, the way she did, because she's just going to be playing catch up while you guys are just rushing down main instead of just being huddled in this room because Winston came in. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I want to
Anyway.
point out that Quan left an hour early because he said he would never play with Simagosk ever again because he was such a bad tank. But he was the one that split from us when we did the push to Ana, which is basically like the last time we could ever lose. And he was the one that wasn't ready here on our push. And he also did this like multiple times throughout the entire script.
I love
I
players
just
like
want to
that.
say that.
I love players like that.
I mean, I know that like in the other games, I even said that they weren't even worth reviewing because we're generally just not doing anything. We're just getting rolled the entire game.
Yeah,
Like
that is
I
fair.
know I played really bad, but I don't think I was the only one. I think we were just as a team, we were just playing really bad.
I don't think you were playing badly. I'm gonna be honest. I
No,
think
there that was like our best map. That was
It was
the
also the first.
yeah. It went
yeah.
all downhill from that.
Yeah, that is fair. Okay. You guys know more than I do on this case then. Anyway. So just a quick recap. Like, I want you to get into the habit of looking at these scenarios a little from a third person perspective, just so that you form an understanding for yourself, right? And then once we understand the general idea of what you want to do, how you want to do things, and like what to focus on, then I think it becomes a little bit easier to talk about these things, right? Talk about these things with your teammates, communicate them out loud, stuff like this. Would I be correct in assuming that you guys are both on the same team, or Stormy, are you ringing because the other guy left?
I am a ringer and Simagosk was trialing. He is no
Okay.
longer trialing because Quan literally sent an ultimatum.
Oh, Quan was already on the team.
Like he essentially said either Simagosk leaves and we like they still have another tank, right?
Oh,
So he said either Simagosk leaves and we play with the other tank, or I leave. And like since they want to play Overwatch CS next week, they're never gonna find a hitscan player in time. So they just had to go with Quan. But like I'm pretty sure, knowing Snipes and like knowing more or less the manager, that like right after Overwatch CS, Quan is kicked off the team completely for that type of behavior.
yeah.
But I don't think they don't really have the time to keep Simagosk on the team. And I'm just Ringer.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, not fair, but like, I understand. So yeah, just develop an understanding. That way, you're a little bit easier to communicate. Try and say something every fight, or every so often that you can, right? Keep it sweet, keep it concise. Be like, hey, this fight, I want to use this ult. They have this ult. Be careful, right?
Yeah.
There's a 3-step process that I really like for downtime in fights. It's alt track, alt plan, fight plan, or no, alt track, fight plan, alt plan, right? Let's say they have uh, pulse and primal, right? Or let's say they don't have beat. I don't like the pulse primal thing. Let's say they don't have beat, right?
Yeah.
So we alt track, they don't have beat. Fight plan, or sorry, alt plan, we can go aggro with whatever the fuck we want because they don't have beat. And then fight plan.
Yeah.
Fight plan,
That's what
I
I
like it.
that's what I struggle
Yeah.
with, especially in the moment.
Yeah.
I struggle a lot with that.
With the fight plan or all three?
Like just knowing like when and why we're gonna do a certain thing, pretty much. Like in the
Okay.
moment, like like spectating it and like in retrospective is a lot
It's a
easier.
bit easier. Absolutely, I get that.
But in the
I'm
moment,
gonna
I tend
yeah
to just kind of blank and be kind of clueless.
yeah. I'm gonna tell you a bit of a secret. A lot of people don't know what the fuck goes on in the middle of a match. So if it helps, and I think with enough time, this might help. Go with your natural instinct, right? You say that Orisa and Queen are your comfort picks, right?
Right now, yeah.
Okay.
Like
When you're in a scenario, yeah,
like just considering the team comps that we usually play and
yeah,
the heroes that are good right now.
okay.
Like I just started playing more Orisa because she was better than Queen right now.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fair. Um, so if this does help, and I think with enough time, it might trust your natural instinct a little bit more. Like just based, like imagine you're playing by yourself, right? First and foremost, imagine you're playing by yourself, right? And you want to go on a certain target. How are you gonna go on that target? And if you have that kind of mental, not necessarily mental map, but like if you have a general picture of how you want to do things, do it and try and get your team involved. As time goes on, you should get the hang of it a little bit better, and you probably are gonna be able to incorporate your teammates into that plan. You get what I mean?
Yeah,
So, um, I think that the when it comes to so there are two things that I'm trying to get across right now. First thing is the macro, right? Just understanding what works, why it works, how why like what doesn't work and why it doesn't work, right? That type thing, right? This like if you're able to do that in retrospect, that's fantastic. It just makes it so that in the future you're able like let's say an example like this one, right? Let's say on university you struggle with sim and then the next map they're gonna play sim again. If you're able to think about it in slightly in retrospect, be like, oh, why did I go right side all the time when I could have just gone high ground? And then this
yeah.
map, you're like, oh, just go high ground again. You get what I mean?
Yeah, there I don't think I did that. I didn't really think that didn't think enough about it.
Yeah. So being able to think about these things a little bit closer or a little bit quicker in retrospect, it builds the skills that you need to do it long term. Now, when it comes to speaking, I personally don't know any strategies to improve upon it and communicating them out loud. Honestly, what I did, I just went a good couple like weeks to a month, just saying everything I'm fucking doing. Like I mean everything. I'm walking stairs. I'm shooting this person. I'm shooting. I'm reloading. I fucking everything, right? Until I got into the right headspace, the right not the right headspace, but I got into or I learned the abilities and I was able to kind of structure the way I speak and structure what I wanted to say, right?
Yeah.
Um so yeah. Um it's just kind of like so what I'm essentially trying to say is it's gonna be a little the easy part of it is just learning the game, the matchups and the macro of it. The hard part is putting it into words. You get what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? So yeah. Uh, I apologize if this was a little bit all over the place. This is
No,
my
no.
first coaching session and God knows how long.
No, it was good. It was good.
Uh, okay, awesome. If you do have any questions, that being said, feel free to DM me. Um, and if you are interested in the prospect of another review in the future, I apologize that I will be traveling next week going back to university and I won't have a PC for about 3 months, 2 months, 3 months. So that's the situation I'm kind of in right now. So if you cut like I like to think that I'm a lot better and Stormy, you can be the judge of this because I don't know. I think that I'm a lot better when it comes to theory over text instead of over speaking. Right? See, I should probably review myself when it comes to comms because what the fuck am I saying now? Right? But yeah, if you do have any questions, feel free to DM me. I'll respond to the best of my ability. Just keep working at it. Yeah?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Not that I can think of right now.
All right. Then thanks for taking the time to sit down with me, and I'll
No,
catch you
thank
later.
you. See you. Thank you.
Bye bye.